How you doing? I wanted to talk to you a little bit about quality control. That's one of the things I'm hearing a lot of questions on, and it's a very reasonable question, and it's something we spend a lot of time on working out to the best solution. So obviously, when we have an open database that anyone can contribute to, quality control is going to be a challenge. We've come up with some pretty good methods to take care of that. The first is that when an individual posts a listing, whether it's a crime or suspicious activity or whatever it is, it goes into draft form. At that point, our staff will review it. There's certain things we're going to look for. I won't cover them all, but some of them are personally identifiable information, PII. Names, addresses, pictures of individuals are not allowed unless there's a validated conviction, something that we can reference and say, okay, there's a conviction for this. We don't want to turn into a slander site. That's exactly the opposite of what we're trying to do here. So once we've determined those, if we see them, we'll mask them. Depending on the content, we may delete the post. Really just depends. But once we've determined that, we'll post it to the site. At that point, it comes to user moderation, and that's you. You have the option when you first come to any listing that you can report this post and explain why. So if it's a duplicate entry, if it's just slanderous or it's absolutely fake and you know that, you can report it. At that point, our staff will look further into it and check it out and make a determination from there. Beyond that, you have the option and the ability to star rate it. We have a 1 to 5 star system, and this comes in handy for a lot of ways, a lot of reasons. You can star rate it just like you would any particular product or service. And so that allows you to share your opinion of how worthy the material is, how useful it is, and etc. And it gives the users visual reference when they're looking at it and say, hey, these 1 stars, they're not so important to me, but the 5 stars obviously are pretty important to the general populace, so I'll dive down into that further. Then you have a comment. Every listing can be commented on by users. And this is great for a lot of reasons. One is you can add to it, so there might be something to add to it. You can say, hey, there was a conviction for this, or you can correct it. Whatever, however you want to comment to it, you can comment to it. And the comments are also staff moderated, so we're going to look at those and make sure that they don't turn into a slanderous board as well. Finally, another thing that we incorporate is validated organizations. So law enforcement agencies, medical hospitals, and some different organizations, if they work with us, we'll validate them and authorize them to give direct publication. So instead of going through our QC process, if a police force, for instance, has an Amber Alert or an active shooter or something like that, they'll be able to post it directly bypassing our QC, and they can even send out a push notification through the app. So if there's an active shooter in your area, the police force could send a push notification and everyone will receive it right then and there, which is pretty awesome. We will have specific requirements and guidelines for that because obviously police forces are all decentralized. And we think it's important that we keep a standard. So we don't want one police force just to be pushing out push notifications for a stolen bicycle. We're going to set criteria as to what warrants those. That way, our biggest thing with that is we don't want the users to find that the push notifications are just a bit redundant and one of those things you just don't check every time. If you get a push notification from the World Threat Directory, you want it to be something you look at right then because it really could mean life or death for someone. I hope that answers your quality control. That's not every particular thing that we have planned for it, but that is the broad overview, and as you can see, we put some thought into it. And that's a big part of this Kickstarter and getting off the ground is staffing. Obviously going into draft form is going to require a staff. This is a free service, and we have complete confidence that once it's up and moving, advertisers with passive advertising on the sidebars, if you look at the site, will easily cover all cost. I mean, there's plenty of free sites out there that are successful in that endeavor. However, initially it's challenging. So we'll be staffing it out of pocket. This Kickstarter, hopefully, if it does really well, we'll get staff on there, and that'll make the process even faster. We've calculated about 5 seconds to 90 seconds, depending on the post, that we can go from draft to publication. And really, that just comes down to staffing. So I hope I answered your questions. Feel free to hit us in the frequently asked questions, or just push a question to us if I didn't. Thank you.